In this video, I'm going to be sharing exactly what I would do if I had to take an e-commerce brand's email marketing from $0 to 100,000 per month. I'm going to walk you through everything from how I'd build a pop-up to the flows I'd focus on first to how I'd structure my copywriting, campaigns, testing, and segmentation. Literally everything you need to know. So if you run an e-commerce brand and you want to turn your email channel into a reliable revenue source that will help you grow the business, this is the playbook. So first off, 4 reasons why I would never neglect the email channel and why I would never recommend that you neglect the email channel. So more than 4.5 billion people right now have an email, which is quite crazy. And this number is only projected to continue to grow to 4.8 billion by 2027. And email consistently drives 25 to 40% of total store revenue when you do things right. And we even have clients at 50, 60, and 70%, but 25 to 40% seems to be that sweet spot for the average brand when things are done right with email. So after having worked with over 40 e-commerce brands myself at my email agency, it's abundantly clear that a good email channel directly contributes to an overall growing business and overall revenue growth. And also email kind of multiplies the return on all of your other channels, Facebook, TikTok, Google, whatever it is, because it helps you convert prospects into buyers way faster and also convert more buyers into repeat buyers faster and more effectively. And then also when we look at paid ads, as you probably already know yourself, they're just getting more expensive. Email isn't really getting more expensive. So when we're looking at ads, CPMs are going up, CAC is also going up, and platforms can be quite unreliable. I'm sure you know that with specifically Meta, but sending an email to tens of thousands of people is still incredibly cheap. And a good email channel literally amplifies every single dollar that you spend on ads. So that's why it's super, super important that you keep watching this video. So the first thing I would do is I'd get the technical things squared away. So obviously before you can send out any emails, you need an email platform set up if you don't have that already. So in my case, I would choose obviously to squeeze out every single dollar of the email channel and maximize revenue long term. And for that reason, I would go with Klaviyo. But if you already know that you're not going to become an email marketing expert and you would be okay to save some costs while sacrificing some features, well, in that case, I would go with Omnisend. And then obviously you take whatever email platform you chose, integrate that with Shopify, very easy, takes less than 5 minutes. And then you need to set up a branded sending domain. It's a requirement. If you're sending a lot of emails as a company and you don't have a branded sending domain set up, well then over time, there's a big chance you will get blocked and you'll not land in the inbox or even the spam folder anymore. Also, it helps with deliverability and it can make your emails look less sketchy in the inbox basically. And then lastly, you need to make sure your DNS records are set, such as SPF, DKIM, and DMARC records. Those need to be configured properly. You can check on glogapps.com if they are set up properly. And if you don't know how to set them up and you need to set them up, you can just search up on Google how to do that. It's very simple. DNS records can sound kind of advanced, but it's very simple to set up. It's just fancy kind of names of words. So it's very easy to set that up. Once the email platform is integrated, I would launch a high converting pop-up very fast as the very first thing before thinking about creating any emails. The reason why is that this sets the pace for how quickly we grow the email list, and the more people we have on our email list, the more people we can send emails to. So I'd move very fast here. And I'd aim for an 8% submit rate. It differs from brand to brand what you can kind of achieve. Some brands that we work with, we can even achieve like a 35%. Other brands cannot get above 5% no matter what they do because of the nature of their products and their audience. But here's how I'd get there. So I would use a proven offer like 10% off or 15% off your first order. Every kind of customer understands exactly what they get as soon as they see that offer. It's not complicated to understand. And the reason why you want an offer on your pop-up in the first place is to incentivize people to actually sign up, because nobody cares about, hey, sign up to receive our news updates. That's not really a big enough benefit to give a company your email. Then, just like on these examples, you want to make the offer the focus on the pop-up. So make it big and make it bold. It's the only thing people care about, again, on the pop-up. Otherwise, they'll just close it like right away, almost instinctively, without even thinking about it. And you want to only ask for the email upfront. You don't want to ask for names, birthdays, or anything else that adds friction that actually in reality doesn't really add anything to your marketing. And if you really need these kind of, I guess, properties or data on people, then you can collect it on the next steps after you've collected their email, because the email is the most valuable thing here. And then you want to configure the timing. So just set it to show after 7 seconds of someone landing on the website. And then this is something you can test later on. Then I would build out and launch these 8 exact core flows. So these flows will generate automated revenue while you sleep, and they will do like 90% of the heavy lifting when it comes to flow revenue. So there's no point in really getting like super granular yet with more advanced flows before you've built out and nailed these ones. So we've got the welcome series of 5 to 8 emails. where you basically want to introduce the brand, build trust, and then showcase bestsellers. Then we've got the side abandonment of like 1 to 2 emails, where you just want to include like light touch reminders with products worth kind of browsing, or some social proof, like why they should be interested or why your brand is different compared to other options. Then we've got the browse abandonment of 2 to 4 emails, where you want to reintroduce the product with benefits, maybe some education on the product, some UGC, and then nudge them to come back and kind of continue to cart or obviously purchase. Then we've got the abandoned cart and abandoned checkout flows. Those two are different, but you want both. Like they're different triggers, but it's the same content, but you want both set up basically, of about like 4 to 7 emails each. And those emails again can be the exact same, with like reminders, objection handling, reviews, and obviously urgency to complete their order. And you can also include an offer at the end to try and squeeze out more purchases from people that obviously didn't convert from one of the earlier emails in these flows. Then we have the post-purchase flow for new customers specifically of about 5 to 7 emails. In this flow, obviously you want to give people a great experience. They've just purchased for the first time with your brand. So you want to thank them, show them how to use the product, or give them tips on how to, I guess, maximize the effect or result they get with the product. Depends on how, I guess, advanced or complex your product is to use. And then you want to build excitement, get them excited for the order to arrive, show them some social proof, and obviously prime them to buy again at some point. Then we have the customer win back of 2 to 3 emails, where you basically just want to, I guess, reconvert lapsed buyers with something like, hey, we miss you, come back, or showcase them new products that obviously, some new products that came in from after they purchased the first time, or at least the last time. And you can also use a Grand Slam offer here. So you've already acquired these as buyers. So you've likely paid ad spend to acquire them as a buyer. So why not try and reconvert them again now that it's been so long since they bought the last time? So give them a good offer to try and reconvert them again, because otherwise there's a big chance they're not going to convert again. So why not, right? Then we have the sunset email flow of just 1 email. You don't want more than 1 email in here because you're directly sending emails to people that are unengaged. The reason why they're in this flow is because they're on the verge of getting suppressed and taken off your email list. So why would you tank your email deliverability to like send these multiple emails? Because they've already received a lot of your campaigns that they obviously didn't open or click on, because then they wouldn't be in this email flow. So just 1 email, let them know that, hey, we've kind of noticed that you're inactive, maybe you're not interested anymore. That's completely fine. We will unsubscribe you unless obviously you re-engage by either opening or clicking this email. So even if they just open that email, they are already kind of an engaged, I guess, subscriber again, and they'll be taken out of this flow. So this flow is just there to kind of protect your email deliverability. So these are the 8 flows that I would set up right away. Then I would structure my copywriting this exact way. So I would not try and start from scratch when it comes to my email copywriting or the overall angles or the concepts that I'm going to come up with. I would reverse engineer what's already working for the brand, like what already got them to this place. So I would go and look at their top performing ads, their landing pages that are working well, kind of look at the hooks, the value props, and all of the objections that they're already answering. So I would go into Facebook ads library here, look at their ads. I would go onto their website, look at their landing pages, all of that stuff. And if there's a winning angle in some of these ads, well, then it's probably worth testing in an email or basing even more emails upon that angle. And if a certain phrase shows up in like 100 reviews, like I really like this product for this exact reason, well, then I'm probably going to use that as an angle in an email or multiple emails. Then if a TikTok went super viral for a certain topic, well, then I'm obviously also going to test that topic in an email. So that's how I would start out with my copywriting. I would not try and reinvent the brand or their voice or anything like that. I would just double down on what already resonates with the audience and then kind of build on top of that. Once that's live and running, then I would think about maybe testing new angles, new variations, and try to beat that initial control. Then when it comes to the email layouts, I would design them and optimize them for today's type of customer. And what I mean by that is that people don't read emails like they used to. They skim, they scroll super fast, and they decide whether they're interested in a piece of content or not in like 2 to 5 seconds. So I would design my emails for how people actually consume content these days, which basically means skimmable layouts, lots of infographics, and concise and clean layouts. So skimmable layouts, you want to use big headlines and big subheaders, like make them easy to kind of see, because most of the time this is the only thing people are going to read. And then you want to use bite-sized body sections, and then you want to have very clear CTAs. You want to have big buttons basically. Then when it comes to infographics, those are super key because it helps you visualize the copywriting instead of just having a big block of text. It gets the point across way easier because, again, most people are visual learners, whether they want to admit it or not, or whether they know it or not. And it's way easier to understand simple and complex kind of concepts with infographics, no matter what kind of industry you're using. It doesn't even have to be ecom, by the way. And then when it comes to concise and clean layouts, you want to have sexy and on-brand design because it looks good. It kind of enhances the brand experience or customer experience with the brand, and it helps you get straight to the point with concise layouts and then easy to read copy inside of these kind of layouts. Exactly as you see down here. Here's an email where you'd probably think, I'll probably go buy somewhere else. Like, who's gonna read this? And we don't even have a clear CTA. Like, this email is even way longer than this, by the way. I just had to cut it off because it's so long. So there's a CTA somewhere at the bottom, but there's no call to action early on. So nobody's gonna read that, let's be honest. And then on the right side, we have an email from Byte where you're probably gonna think like, wait, this brand kind of gets me if you're this type of customer avatar. It's very easy to kind of skim through this email, see exactly what it's about. They use infographics super well to kind of visualize exactly what's being talked about here and to get the point across. So you definitely want to design your emails and optimize your emails like Byte does compared to this other brand on the left side that you don't want to imitate at all. Next thing I would do is I would start firing 3 to 4 email campaigns every single week. And yes, that's every week. So the truth is, no customer is waiting around to receive your one monthly email campaign. They are probably seeing like 10 plus emails from other brands in their inbox every single day. So if you're not showing up in their inbox, some other brand within your niche probably will, a competitor of yours, right? So I would send 3 to 4 email campaigns every week because it keeps the brand top of mind and maximizes conversions. If it didn't maximize conversions, and if it didn't work, by the way, brands like Breeze, Lululemon, Olipop, Bloom, Hexclad, and Lemmy wouldn't be doing it, just to name a few. Here you can see I've gone into Mild, which is obviously a platform where you can go in and kind of look at what emails different brands are sending. Here we can see Breeze. They have a sending cadence here just within a week of sending on July 12th, 14th, another one on the 14th, the 15th, the 16th, and the 18th. Then we have Lululemon, a sending cadence on July 9th, 10th, 14th, 15th, another one on the 15th, and then the 16th. And then we have Lemmy. Their sending cadence is May 13th, 16th, 18th, 20th, 22nd, and 23rd. So you have no reason to think that 3 to 4 emails is too much. Other brands that are growing, that are crushing it, are doing exactly this. So I would send 3 to 4 emails every week. Am I just going to spam out discounts for every email? Well, no, obviously not. I would use discounts very strategically. So I wouldn't just hammer out discounts for every single email and then expect the email channel to help us grow long term or help the brand grow long term. Instead, I would send 70 to 80% content driven emails where obviously the content carries the email. And then for the other 20 to 30%, I would send promo-driven emails where the offer carries the email. So a sale or a new product or whatever, something like that. Because this balance helps you keep your list engaged, informed also with educational content-driven emails, and also ready to buy at full price. They don't need a sale to happen in order to go ahead and purchase your product, which they otherwise would if every single email you send contains a discount. So when you do run promotions, when you kind of follow this structure or this balance, your sales will perform way better. So here are just some examples of content-driven emails. You can see one here from Breeze, one from Bloom, and one from Olipop, just to give you a few ideas. Then I would keep my segmentation stupidly simple and optimized for revenue, because segmentation does not need to be fancy, regardless of what you've heard in another YouTube video. It needs to enable you to consistently generate revenue, the highest amount of revenue that you can generate, while also keeping inbox providers happy so you don't get blacklisted, such as Google, Yahoo, Outlook, and all of those other guys. So here's a quick example of what that looks like when you're sending to consistently engaged segments, generating a lot of sales from every single campaign with good open rates. So here's how I would approach that. So 80 to 90% of the time, you want to send to a broad engaged segment. Typically, that'll be a 60, 90, 180-day engaged segment, maybe a 30-day engaged segment if you're a bigger brand, but obviously this varies from brand to brand, so you can use and test all of these. Then 1 to 2 times monthly at least, you want to hit your full list. So the reason why you want to do this is to consistently try and re-engage these older profiles before you go ahead and suppress them or before they enter your sunset flow. And then you want to make sure you exclude emails that bounce and also purchasers last 7 to 14 days from campaigns. First of all, for the bouncing emails, this is to preserve your sender reputation. And for the people that just purchased, this is to make sure that they don't receive any type of new campaign with an offer or some piece of content that isn't really relevant to them right now because they are waiting for their order to arrive or they just purchased, so they are at a completely different point of the customer journey. So you want to make sure you exclude those. And overall, you want to aim for like 45 to 60% open rates. 45 on the lower end and 60% on the higher end. We like to just aim for 50, like to be specific, but again, they're just numbers. I guess they're just indicators or benchmarks. It doesn't mean too much as long as it's super healthy between 45 and 60. If you're getting over or below this, you can just expand or tighten as needed, because again, when it comes to segmentation, you want to keep it simple. There is no need to slice your list into 20 micro audiences or hyper-targeted segments because it sounds smart. Keeping it broad, keeping it engaged most of the time is exactly what will generate like 90% of your revenue. Then I would run consistent A/B tests in high leverage areas, because the brands that grow the fastest are typically the ones that test relentlessly, but only where it actually matters and moves the needle for them. I would not sit there and waste my time testing in a flow that gets like 400 recipients every month. It's going to take me maybe months to get significant data on which variation is performing the best inside of my test with a flow that only gets like 400 recipients a month. So instead, I would focus on areas with real upside, a lot of traffic, like my pop-ups where I can test like offers, timings, layout, and copy. In my abandonment flows where I can test time delays, copy, incentives, subject lines. In my campaigns where I should test like send times, overall angles to focus on, and how often to run sales. And then I would also reuse winning campaigns, like take those winning campaigns and add them to flows, or at least test them inside of flows. Because if they worked once as a campaign, you might as well make that work for you 24/7 in a flow. So make sure you repurpose winning content with email marketing. And I would not get distracted by vanity metrics. The main metrics that I would focus on are obviously revenue and profit, as I think you should as well. Every kind of e-commerce brand should. Maybe you're running a test where a subject line test where one variation gets a higher open rate, but the other variation gets much more revenue. Well, yeah, obviously the obvious thing is that a subject line kind of directly affects the open rate, but the subject line also frames the entire email. So it impacts how people think about the email once they open it, which means it also has an effect on the revenue. So obviously you would choose the one that gets the most revenue, because that's what you should care about in your testing. So that's how I would think about testing and what I would do next. So after I've gone through every single thing that I just went through in this video, only then would I think about adding more advanced stuff. So after the basics are in place and they're running well, such as we have the pop-ups live, the flows are converting, the campaigns are going out, and we have some basic testing going on as well, then I would consider maybe stacking on more like granular or advanced systems, such as repeat purchaser flows, back-in-stock flows, birthday flows, VIP flows, product-specific abandonment flows, subscription flows, loyalty programs, email identifier tools, customer affiliate programs, all of that stuff. Like a lot of other apps that you can test out that aren't gonna boost your revenue like right away, but can help you kind of like get incremental revenue over time, right? So yeah, I would not make the mistake and dive deeply into any of these kind of add-ons or whatever you want to call them before the basics are crushing it. So I guess the lesson here is that hitting $100,000 per month with your brand's email marketing channel will never come from secret hacks or new Shopify apps or new AI tools that you just heard about today. It comes from nailing the fundamentals like it always has and doing them incredibly well, exactly as you can see here on this screenshot. That covers it for this video. Hopefully you got a ton of value from that. If you want this exact document, by the way, there's a link down below where you can sign up and I will send you this exact document. If you want to work with me and my email marketing agency and have us do all of this for you and really grow your revenue with email marketing, there's also a link down below where you can book a call with me and we can have a quick chat and see if that's a fit. But other than that, I will see you in the next video.